one of the main things that have come through is, just some of the emotional challenges, and some of the mental trauma that I think some of these communities, people in these communities, face. And so it's my delight and honor to introduce you to Joe, Kevin, and Emily, who are part of the Bristol and Avon Women's community groups. I'm just going to pass the time over to Joe, who'll share with us what his organisation do.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for the opportunity to be welcome to speak here. Just to let you know in advance, I do have a cold and sore throat, so if I do cough, I'll probably have to hand over part of it to Emily, but we're going to split a presentation we've done. So Emily's going to bring up the presentation and we'll just go through it because it makes it easier then.
Okay. I'm just going to see if I can share. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. Thanks, Emily. So anyway, thank you. We are, it says a Chinese Community Wellbeing Society. Mark introduced us as Bristol and Avon Chinese Women's Group, which we are. This is our new name, which is about to change in the next few months. So just for those who, when you sort of speak to us in future, we will be Chinese Community Wellbeing Society. Our group basically is here to promote the well-being of the Chinese community, making sure everyone within the community is provided with information and support. We encourage the integration and inclusion of the community, of our community to the local community, so the wider local community. Emily? Founded in 1989 by Rosa Hui, who's our director. It was initially to support Chinese women and their families in the Bristol, what was the formerly Avon area, which doesn't exist anymore. But the organisation and the name continued since 1989. On the left there, you'll see us collecting an award from a community awards ceremony. Emily? So these are services. We have the Chinese Lantern Helpline service, which covers the whole of the Southwest. It's funded by National Lottery. It's a helpline service open to the whole of the Chinese community who can contact us for support and information. We have a care support service. We have older people who are in care homes at the moment. So we provide a care support service to the carers. We have a project called Bristol Meets the World, which is funded by St. Monica's Trust. And the project coordinator, who's not with us here at the moment, works with other ethnic communities to use food and nutrition as a way of obviously sharing ideas and information. And finally, we have a English language class. It's a basic English class, so it is more conversational rather than any sort of degree level or anything. Emily? So the Chinese Lantern Project Helpline, as I said, it's there. It operates in the whole of the Southwest. The service is there for all communities, all members of the community to be able to contact us. And they could be anybody from students, from older Chinese communities, anyone who is from the Chinese community. And when I say Chinese community, this includes anybody from China, from Hong Kong, Malaysia, Taiwan. If they speak Mandarin and Cantonese in particular, which are the two main languages, they are able to contact us. We provide information, and sometimes we do get calls ranging from anybody who doesn't understand a letter that they've received, whether it's a council letter or a bank letter. So they just wanted to know, what the letter meant, to other areas where we've had people contacting us where they've been evicted, where they've been suffering domestic abuse. We're not specialists in those areas, so we work with other organisations, partner organisations, to signpost our service users to these other organisations. But most of our work is to ensure that the community in the Southwest understand that there are services out there. We work with anybody from the Home Office, the 2 police forces in the Southwest, NHS. And what we do is we also ask the service providers to understand there is a community, a Chinese community out there. We link the two by providing workshops, providing information and sharing, and working with both the community and with the service providers to say what the community requires and what the service providers would like to hear from us of what the needs are of the community. And that's the important thing, is linking both together. So we do quite a few workshops currently. They are all virtual online at the moment, but prior to lockdown, we were going out to the community and arranging workshops within the community. So that's sort of the main part of our helpline service, which is probably one of the areas which will be interesting to you in the church, because if you have anybody coming in over from our community, and if you are struggling, you're more than welcome to contact the helpline if there are people out there who needs support and information. And I can share sort of any information required later if Mark contacts me. We're more than happy to share leaflets of the various services that we provide. Emily?
Okay, yeah. So now I'll just briefly talk about some of the other services. So as you can see on the slide, this is the care support service, and this is a service which provides one-to-one tailored practical, social and leisure support to those from the Chinese community in and or outside the home. The service is quite unique in that it is culturally sensitive. So our care support workers, they are either from a Chinese background or have been given training on Chinese culture. And they can also converse with our clients in either Mandarin or Cantonese. The service is available to all Chinese adults, but in particular, it's for older individuals, those who are vulnerable carers, but also new mums and young families as well. So as you can see probably on the screen, some of the core services that the CSS offers include companionship. So that's, conversation, maybe having a cup of tea with the client. We also offer domestic help. So that's deep cleaning, laundry, meal preparation, etc. And then also essential errands. So that's, again, helping our clients with their general shopping, escorting them to appointments, and also collecting prescriptions for them. Apart from the 3 kind of services you can see on the screen, our care support service also provides us general information and also organizes workshops for carers and older people within the Chinese community. So now I'll just briefly talk about another project that our group does, which is Food and Nutrition Bristol Meets the World. So this was a project which started in 2018. It was initially funded by Bristol Aging Better and is now funded by St. Monica Trust. The aim of the project is basically to use food as a communication tool to help break down isolation and loneliness amongst older people from diverse backgrounds. So this is mainly done through cultural cookery sessions, which encourage and empower older people to meet new people, learn new skills, and then become volunteers and eventually tutors themselves. So since lockdown, sessions which were usually face-to-face, these have now moved online through the form of video sessions, and these can mostly be found on the project's Facebook page. So in general, a lot of the sessions which are done by Bristol Meets the World, they focus on integrating culture and nutrition. And so this has led to some collaborative workshops between different ethnic communities. So for example, a couple of weeks ago in May, we did have a session which was on food and well-being, a workshop, and it introduced tips and recipes from the Pakistani and also the Bangladeshi community. And then alongside this, there was a live talk from a registered dietitian who was able to provide professional advice and then answer as well any of the questions from the participants. So yeah, these are the main, I guess, aim of Bristol Meets the World and the sessions that they offer is it just really helps connect different communities. So the Chinese community can also learn and integrate with the Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Somali community as well. And a lot of the participants from joining these sessions have said that it's really helped them in reducing their isolation. And now finally, I'll talk about the English Conversation Club, which our group does, which I guess this may be quite relevant as well to the Hong Kong migrants. So this English Conversation Club, it was established almost 6 years ago. It started as a working partnership between our group and the Bristol City Council through their community learning program. And through this program, it recruited and trained local native volunteers to run the club, which happens every Wednesday. So it's a weekly club. And I guess the aim of this conversation club is basically to support the Chinese community in helping build up their confidence in speaking English, but also whilst reducing the language barrier that they face in their day-to-day life in Bristol. So in terms of how the sessions are set up, it's usually a face-to-face interactive setting, and the club also incorporates role-play activities. And basically also both the tutors and the learners, they work together in selecting the topics which they learn each week. I think through running the club, we also found that in order to better support the Chinese learners, it's better to split the class into 2 sessions. So we do have 2 levels. So there's the entry level and also the intermediate level. I guess luckily through the 6 years that it has been established, our volunteer tutors have established a very good, solid relationship with our Chinese learners. And a lot of the learners have reported that, fed back to us that they have found that since attending the club, that yes, they found a strong sense of improvement in terms of their confidence, but also in terms of their language understanding. Okay, so I think if I just talk briefly about the future of the group. So I think for the future, our group, we hope to expand and develop our services a bit more. So I don't want to go into too much detail, but for example, we do hope to develop some of our services to be more accessible online, for example. Apart from that, we do also hope to expand more of our services towards the Southwest, because at the moment, a lot of our projects are just in Bristol, apart from the helpline, which also extends down to the Southwest. But yes, hopefully more of our services in the future will be accessible to more people, more of the Chinese community. Okay, and then
just something to bear in mind, we are non-political, so as much as we understand obviously the issues with Hong Kong at the moment and China, we are a non-political organisation. This is also how we met Mark as well. We were involved in the hate crime project, which Emily has created a lot of information and graphics, which we're happy to share with you all. I think Mark has a copy of them already. And we've also created a hate crime booklet. So this is where the information is available in traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese, and English. So all our information is available in those 3 sort of version of languages. One of the things I mentioned when we had the breakout room, having sort of been involved in the helpline project and going out and dealing with sort of all the service providers and trying to get them to work with us over the last few years, a lot of the organizations say they know there is a Chinese community here, but what they do not know is where the Chinese community are, because the Chinese community never asks for anything or they don't ask for any help at all. And this is, I mean, I'm talking stretching all the way down to Devon, Cornwall. I mean, we work closely with Devon Cornwall Police. We work closely with Avon Somerset, NHS, all the universities. A lot of them say, yes, we know there are people out there, but they never ask for anything. So what do your community, what do they need? And that's something as the Hong Kong community come over now and obviously start integrating with the wider British community, their needs are going to continue and it's going to increase. And their understanding of what it's going to be like living here. It's going to be open up a fresh pair of eyes for a lot of them, because as much as they are British when they're in Hong Kong, once they move over to Britain, it's another type of British culture they're moving into. So for all of you obviously involved, please be aware that, there will be people out there who will come over. They will have some money because of the fact that, to gain a BNO visa, you've got to be able to, afford to come over anyway. But it's the fact that obviously once they are here, it's like Jessica said earlier, some of them will be lost and sort of left a bit isolated and lonely.
Great. I'm just going to cut in there, Joe, just for purposes of time. But first of all, can we just again show our appreciation for Joe, Kevin, and Emily and what they're doing?